All right, good afternoon, everyone. I want to welcome you to the first of the semester of the Yale AIDS Colloquium Series, YACS. Just a couple of logistical things. If folks have cell phones, if you can put them on silent or vibrate, we'd appreciate that. We are recording this so that it'll be up on our website shortly thereafter the talk. We are also working with our collaborators at UConn's Center for Health Intervention and Prevention, so it's being simulcast with them as well. I would encourage you to check our website for further future talks. It's www.yale.edu/CIRA, C-I-R-A. Today's talk is co-sponsored by the Division of the Epidemiology of Microbial Diseases at the Yale School of Public Health, the Institute for Social Policy Studies, the Shell Center at the Law School, as well as the Global Health Leadership Institute. And I'm going to go ahead and bring up our person to introduce our speaker today, Michael Capello.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be here today. My name is Michael Capello. I'm a professor in the medical school, but also director of the Yale World Fellows Program, which is happy to be co-sponsoring this event today. For those of you who don't know, Wan Yanhai is the founding director of China's first, and I believe today the largest, NGO focused on HIV/AIDS. This is an organization whose name I certainly can't pronounce, but in English translates into love, knowledge, and action. And really, in many ways, that epitomizes what I've come to see in Wan Yanhai, who really is one of my heroes. And I think for many of the people in the room is a shining example of the type of work that we should be supporting, especially in parts of the world where it's not so easy to advocate for human rights. So Wan Yanhai's organization is really a very strong advocate for people living with HIV/AIDS, but also over the past few years has embraced the opportunity to advocate for many people who are marginalized for a variety of reasons, whether it's because of their sexual orientation, their minority ethnic status, their substance abuse challenges. This group has really become an umbrella group that's advocating for the most basic human rights for many of China's most marginalized patients. So Wan Yanhai came to Yale in 2003. He was part of the second class of the Yale World Fellows, which has evolved into Yale's signature Global Leadership Development Program. This is an initiative that was launched by President Levin in 2002 to create essentially a cohort of future leaders from across many disciplines whose broadened perspective would be influenced by an intensive academic enrichment period here at Yale. So this program is really an amazing example of Yale's interest in developing leaders from around the world, and especially people from across regions, disciplines, and certainly ideologies. So we are very proud of Wan Yanhai as an alumnus of the World Fellows Program. I encourage all of you to check out our website and look into the kinds of educational initiatives we have here on campus. And we are very proud to have Wan Yanhai back and also to support him in his work in the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome to my lecture, and thanks for organizing the event. So yesterday is China's Mid-Autumn Moon Festival. So about 8 years ago, I was released from the government detention center, after 4 weeks detention. So a week later, we registered our organization as an enterprise in Beijing. So before that, the organization is kind of, not well organized, and individual volunteer, informal networking, and also affiliated with a private college, but don't have a real, organizing structure and function. Yeah. So the project was created in 1994, but in general, we lack of, a strong public participation. So, but from 2000, because of the blood scandal in China, many farmers who, who sold blood because of poverty, and many farmers got infected, and many orphans left by parents who died of AIDS. So the general public become, involved, in the HIV/AIDS campaign. So then a lot of people, we were called by people, all the time. So then we had a chance to organize people, as an organized, group. So in 2002, we, it's our transition period. We started to, organize, people as one organization, not informal, individual network. So in that year, we had many difficulties. Before we registered as an enterprise, our organization actually were banned, by the security people. The private college, asked us to leave and stop our affiliation. In August and September, I were arrested for 4 weeks. So after my release, my colleague, we decided to continue our application of register as an enterprise. So on September 26th, we submitted the application. The second day, the organization were, the application were recognized. So when we registered, we have 4 shareholders, Hu Jia, Li Dan, Cui Zhen, and myself. So Hu Jia is now in the, in jail, and he was, arrested by Chinese government for advocacy for broad, human rights and democracy, and were arrested in December 2007, like half a year before the Olympics. Li Dan is now organizing a new organization. Cui Zhen is still an independent, gay film, direct. So after my release, I went to America, and Yale invited me to speak in December 2002. Then, Mike Merson, Dean of School of Public Health, nominated me for the Yale World Fellow programs. So they invited me to give a talk about our work in China. My final comments is about, in our early stage, it's an activist organization. But when government started to tolerate in some way, when we started to provide a service, how can those activists work together? So it seems like the first, the shareholders, divided and then separate. So then we have new shareholders. We have 4 shareholders. One is a lawyer working on human rights issues. One is an environmental activist, and one is a lesbian activist. So as an enterprise registered, as an organization, or as a non-government organization providing, public interest service, but registered as an enterprise, we are facing, many difficulties. So I spent a year, 9 months in Yale, and the first 4 months in Yale, China, and then moved to, World Fellow programs. So by the end of 2003, I fled back to China and worked in China for more than 6 years. My hair become, white. Okay, extremely, I worked really hard. Extremely, very difficult. It's a challenging, moment. So from early this year, our organization started to be cracked down again. So our 16-year anniversary, conference were banned, and repeated government, harassment, tax investigation, a lot of issues. So in the first 6 months, our organization received pressure, harassment from about 10 government agencies in Beijing. Only in Beijing. Outside of Beijing, there are some other government agencies, targeting on us. But only in Beijing, we received pressure from about 10 government agencies. Pressure, yeah. So today, I'm going to, report back to Yale about how, we're managing our organization in the past, years. So as a non-profit organization, but registered as enterprise, we have to following two standards. We need to following both standard for non-profit and standard for profit, organization. So that is extremely difficult. And also we have to work in both Chinese language and also, English. So otherwise, we need to communicate with our donors. So most of our donors are from outside, from America, from French, from Germany, from United Nations, from like a British government and different donors. So this is we have to work in bilingual. We have to following two standards. So it seems like we have to take the burden of two type of organization, and we cannot benefit from either side. Okay. So our location, our main office is located in Beijing. But we also have some side office in Beijing, like we have a drop-in center for female sex workers. We have a side office for the Uyghur minorities, for the Uyghur migrants in Beijing. We have a side office for drivers, long-distance truck drivers, providing health education and some legal information. Yeah. In Kunming, we have a branch office, and in Shenyang, we had a branch office before. In Kunming, we also have a side office for trunk drivers. So, but some office, were closed because of, so maybe the program not successful, and now we are facing a, funding, shortage. Yeah. So the general environment of, working in China is, in a moment, there was some tolerance. Like it seems like in 2003 to 2006, government, the environment become more tolerant. But from late 2006 until now, government started to give more pressure, to NGOs, and NGOs were targeted as, one potential, risk forces, and so from late, before late 2006, I received phone calls, meetings from only one government security agencies, and from late 2006, and I were called by multi-government agencies, and so in 2007. The Beijing Public Security Department, they called me once a week, twice a week for meetings all the time. So it actually gave me a lot of pressure. Yeah. So, but also in the past 6-7 years, we observe a very rapid emerging civil society organization development in all fields, not only just on HIV/AIDS, but in general in all areas. In civil society organization become very strong, and also there's a growing strong human rights movement. So so today we everywhere we see that lawyers, intellectuals, petitioners, people belongs to like some religious organization, NGOs, journalists are working really hard to protect the people's rights. So compared with 1990s, today is people tend to talk about networking and set up a network. So in mid-1990, when we started to work on social issues, activists tend to not to communicate, and activists tend not to network each other, not to have a meeting, to avoid government harassment, to protect themselves. But today, so activists, NGOs everywhere, people are talking about establishing a kind of alliance, network, this type of discussion. Yeah. The government-civil society relationship seems very strange. In theory, we always see in the newspaper, in the academic articles, so, okay, a partnership between government and NGOs is encouraged. But in another hand, we always observe like the state security department, public security department, and also maybe other government agencies come and give you harassment and asking you to report. Yeah. So the United Nations Global Fund are playing active role in China, but in general they are controlled by Chinese government. So in China, the UN office, embassies, international media, or the international enterprise, when they recruit staff, workers, they have to go through some government institutions. That means that eventually UN organizations and have were actually controlled by the government. So there are many international NGOs are working in China, but most of them are self-censored. They tend not to work with activist organizations. They mostly work with government, give the money to government, or following the government guidance. Yeah. So in the past, when I came back and started, managing our organization, so a color revolution happened in Central Asia. Then Chinese government started to be more suspicious against NGOs. That is, so this time we always see that it's a contradiction. In one hand, there's a emerging rapid development of civil society. In another hand, government is suspicious. Government need NGO to help them in service, but they are not happy with NGO working on human rights and politics. Yeah. So our administration structure is like a shareholder. Shareholder as an enterprise, we need 4 shareholders. Shareholder is only for registration and security and find a legal representative. They don't involve in the daily work. They don't involve in the policy directions. So we have a board of directors. They define the institution policies, directions, and review the report. Yeah. We are planning to set up international advisory committee to give us more support internationally and also help in fundraising. Yeah. So in our organization, we have direct, deputy director, director assistant, accountant, program coordinate. So we are probably now we have about 20 people. We used to have more staff, more full-time staff and more part-time staff. And nationally, we are also give support to many many grassroots organizations. They receive funding from our organization. So in our every month we give salary to about 60, 70, 80, sometimes even more than 90 people receive salary from our financial department. Yeah. So our main area is actually AIDS prevention care and advocacy, legal aid. But we also work on discrimination against the people with health problems like hepatitis B, carrier, the education rights, working rights, with hepatitis B carrier. And also we worked on like abusing psychiatry against ordinary people, against the petitioners, against political dissidents. So yeah, we worked on some cases, some very influential cases on against abusing psychiatry last year. Yeah. So we also helped set up a group called Patients' Rights to protect the rights of patients in the hospitals. So our target population is most the marginalized population, people living with AIDS, hemophilics, gay communities, sex work, drug users, ethnic minorities, migrant, and young people. Yeah. So we work through partners and networks. So we share a very strong partnership nationwide. Almost half of China we have some cooperation so including like some remote areas like Tibet and Xinjiang. Xinjiang. Yeah, we work with gay community organizations there. So in the past 8 years, 7, 8 years, we have education have been supported. We have provided not just a spiritual support. We provided actual support like financial support, computers, salaries for more than 150 community-based organizations and student groups. Yeah, some are pretty influential, like Beijing Gay Lesbian Center, Beijing Yilin Center. Beijing Yilin Center is a legal aid organization. So actually, it's created from a program of our organization. Yeah. So we helped set up a national network of AIDS organizations, which now has more than 100 grassroots AIDS NGOs, all type of organizations. So this network is pretty strong. In 2005, we helped organize a national committee for the compensation campaign of the blood victims. But this group experienced many harassment from government. So it does not work well because it's like a lot of harassment. Many people were detained shortly, so a lot of pressure. I was detained for 3 days for working on the compensation issues. Yeah. So our work with people living with AIDS is mostly on the legal aid for the blood victims, but also we work on the treatment, education, and advocacy. Provide emergency, medical care support, financial support for AIDS activists who are HIV positive. For the hemophilic, we also provide legal aid. Yeah. For gay communities, we actually provide, So we provided, very widely, service like community outreach in almost all sites, parks, bars, sex clubs. Bus halls, some internet social groups, promoting safe sex. And nationally, every year we provide, we provided 500,000 condoms with replicant for community organizations to work among gay communities. So we also organizing or sponsoring cultural, artistic, gay, lesbian, events like some painting exhibition, some film exhibition, producing some, gay films, like that. So we help, the gay lesbian, movement, networking nationally, internationally, attending international conference like that. We sponsored 2 magazines. One is a national lesbian magazine called Les Plus. One is a gay magazine. Both are very popular in China. Okay, Gay Sport. So they're all both independent, but sponsored by Advocacy. Yeah. So for the sex worker, work, we provide health care, we provide health education, medical care. We have a part-time, retired, senior, doctor working on women's health. So they visit, entertainment place every week. And also we provide legal support for the sex workers. And whenever they were cracked down by the police or some other, legal issues, we provide, support. Before Olympics, we had many training on the legal issues, teach sex workers how to face police harassment around the Olympics. So yeah, we also advocate for legalization of sex work in China and provide health service. So every year we publish, human rights sex worker health and human rights report. So last year we published one, and this year we are going to publish a new report. Yeah. For drug users, we work in Beijing and Yunnan, and so there are 2 groups are pretty active on the legal action. One is the blood victims, another is the drug users. So we worked with drug users, organized many legal actions against government on the police abusing of police power, treatment in the detention center, and also like to provide financial aid for the drug users. Yeah. The capacity building is about help drug users to set up their own organization and set up infrastructure, rule, policy, internal policy, how to run organizations in an open and a democratic way. So that is something we have done. Yeah. So for 3 years, we published the human rights report about the drug users in China for 3 years. Yeah. So yeah, the report is going to be translated by a Yale student soon, maybe probably next month. Yeah. For the Uyghur, the Muslim, migrants. So the Muslim is the Uyghur community is severely affected by drug use and HIV/AIDS. So among the floating populations of the Uyghur people nationwide, there is a very high, HIV infection, very high, extremely high. Yeah. So. So about 3 years ago in Beijing, there was a survey. So among the the Uyghur migrant population, half of the adult were injecting drugs. Among the injecting drug users, more than 50% have been infected by HIV/AIDS, and the tuberculosis and hepatitis C, hepatitis B is also an issue. Yeah. For the Uyghur issues, we started to work with the Uyghur communities. So health education, medical care, reflow service, drug treatment. Some people want to stop using drugs. We help them to actually we paid some people to receive drug treatment in the center. So because of social discrimination, they cannot find housing, and the police ask the landlord not to provide a house for the Uyghur Muslims. So then our community workers visited each families and negotiated with the police department to find a house for the Uyghur people. So this the Uyghur working with the Uyghur communities were thought by people as the most extreme sensitive topic in China. So how can we work with the most Uyghur people, which were thought as in all the media coverage, Uyghur people were described as kind of terrorists in China. So it's a pretty sensitive topic, but we are pretty lucky. Compared with other topics, we received less government pressure on this topic, and we received more government support on this topic. Okay, so early last year, I wrote a direct letter to the head of the police department in Beijing and criticized discrimination against the Uyghurs. So they were not happy, but eventually they decided to listen to my opinions. And the government ethnic affairs department started to call us and ask us to provide information for them. And also they called us to establishing a cooperation. So actually the Chinese State Council, the State Ethnic Affairs Committee, there's an organization belongs to the Ethnic Affairs Committee, called us and signed a cooperation agreement. And we put the name in front of our office. So our work with the Uyghur communities is in the name of the government, not just NGOs. And by the end of last year, our program working with the Uyghurs were awarded. We received an award by a very influential Chinese media, Chinese magazine. So every year they give award to influential individuals or groups working on non-profit. So our organization, our work with the Uyghurs were awarded. That's the first award we win in China. So the State Ethnic Affairs Committee also issued an internal document sent to the Central Committee, the Party Central Committee, and also to the Beijing government, to the Health Department, supported our work. Okay, that is in the past 16 years in our history, this is the only government agency who supported our work in a written document. Okay. Okay, we have not received any official support from the Health Department yet. Okay. So, but unfortunately, I thought we might receive more more government support. But unfortunately, we began to be cracked down by government again this year, and so eventually I left China and with my family, and my colleague is still working there. Yeah, so we are now have another transition period. Okay, I hope people here can also work with us on our transition period. Seems like last summer, when government started to crack down against some legal aid organizations, we were working very hard to help to support, those legal aid organizations, like one organization supported by Yale China Law Center, the Open Constitution Initiative. The organization were banned and they were fined by the tax department. The head of the group were arrested. So we are the first organization stand out to support them. Okay, but it seems like both in China and outside of China, both government and international donors are changing. So last year we also experienced some change in the donor side. So we we're thinking about potential donor change, and we will probably need to develop a strategy to work with broad donors and establishing our public relations strategy, and also to raise funding domestically. This type of thing we have been discussing all the time last year. So yeah, we had some important donor change, and this year we had a funding our funding decrease is about we lost about 3 million Chinese yuan this year. But also in the same time, government cracked down against us. So yeah, we are now in a pretty difficult situation. Okay.